But the mask ordinance is not a creed-oriented issue. It's a public safety issue. And the resistance to to mask and face coverings, of course, it's irrational. But we can't really try to fix that awareness with science and reason, because it's irrational and it's connected to fears of socialism. And you'll find on social media that the people who are anti-face covering also believe things such as that bleach, the church that was making bleach and distributing it.
Oh, yes. And that wasn't that, yes. Lord.
They're giving testimony. Right. People are giving testimony on the internet that it worked for them and cured them. And I mean, what do you do with that? You have to find a way to incorporate that dissent into your public statements about the disease and about the safety measures that we have. And so it's a challenge.
I like the comparison, just like when they tried to introduce seat belts in cars to everybody. People opposed seat belts, for years. And I guess we should allow religious exemptions for seat belts now, too. That'd be the next logical step. So people who think seat belts violate their religious freedom should not be required to wear them, regardless if how many people they kill, then consequently. And the logic is mind-boggling. It is, Chris. It's mind-boggling to think about this. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to another one of your points in your platform: civility and communication. And you state it's time to restore civility and good communications to government at all levels. I promise to always do my best to listen and incorporate dissent, and there you go again, you say dissent again, into every motion I put forth as county commission. Yes, and dissent is a key part of that, and people have a right, that's why our country was founded, a right to state their opinions, even if they're wrong sometimes. They have a right to state their opinions, and that's part of the country. We are not a total police state, and so we do have a right to have demonstrations and to peacefully demonstrate. So highlight some of your thoughts along that line, civility and communications.
Right. I issued a video about this yesterday, because at the last board meeting for the county commission, a citizen activist spoke, and our board has a very poor record of incorporating dissent, and it also, the board members, Commissioners Vanessa Ball, Betsy Benak, and Carol Whitmore, they have given themselves permission to openly disparage and rather passive-aggressively attack citizens at sometimes. And this is what happened to Glenn Gibellina, an activist at the board meeting. Carol Whitmore said, why didn't you just pick up the phone and tell us about your concerns with the Port Authority Sustainable Energy? She said, after all, you send us enough hateful emails. And so she used her position to cast a generalization about his entire body of work. And as a commissioner, I would protect people. I would not let people get run over like that, because it's when someone takes their very valuable life energy and tries to help solve our problems, there is no threat. It's just a public speech. I would protect that person, and I would not let them get run over like that, because as a commissioner, it is not my power. It is my constituents' power and the constituents of the county that I'm there for. So we have a problem. We have a problem with it's like a rite of passage for any of us involved in politics. We get passive-aggressive comments and email, verbal comments, and it's just symptomatic of a sense of entitlement in government. I mean, all these ladies, I'm sure they're fine people. I'm sure there are good people on both sides, but they feel entitled to their positions.
Right, and Glenn has done so much good work for this county and tried to bring forward ideas. In fact, I think it is the annual health thing that he sponsored and got organized to bring forward the annual. It's held, I think, at Manatee Community College out there, Manatee Technical College, I think it's called now, out there. And he's done all kinds of things in attainable housing and trying to bring it forward and push that because, those three commissioners that you just named right there, I wonder if they'd ever spend a night with people who are less fortunate or people that have been basically abandoned or whatever, And I wonder if they've ever spent a day with them or even talked with them, or seen what they have to go through. And a lot of these people are victims of circumstances, too, victims of things that they had very little control over. And, of course, everyone makes mistakes. But anyway, that's the point there. Okay, I better move on. So we can keep this conversation going on other issues.
Well, I just want to add one quick thing about Mr. Gilbert and his concerns. His concern was about sustainable energy at the port, and that was disparaged at the meeting and discounted. And so I followed up with the Port Authority and asked if there had been a sustainability study, and could I see it? And they said that they had discarded all those studies.
Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, we could spend hours talking about Florida being the Sunshine State, and of course here we go again, big money corruption, and trying to stop sustainable energy coming into Florida, and that's another whole discussion itself. Yes. Anyway, let's move on to the structure of government, okay? And I'm gonna remind you some of your platform here. There are 6 incorporated cities within the geographic boundaries of Manatee County. Often, government responses to problems can be fragmented. I will work to create a ballot referendum for voters to have the option to approve a measure which would formally join Manatee County's 6 incorporated cities and county governments into a single unit in what could be called the city-county consolidation. Yes, other places do that all the time. There's, you see it all over the country, and the advantages it brings. It makes sense. So please elaborate a little bit more on that and why it's advantageous. I know I'm sure you can document why it's so advantageous. I know it's helped many areas, city, counties work together and better cooperate in joint projects, especially transportation and energy and things like that. There's so many things it can do to help people.
Exactly. It also it will save taxpayers money because they're not paying for all these different legislative entities and executive offices throughout this incorporated areas. And a little story about that ties into LGBTQ plus rights as well. Jefferson County and Louisville, they had this as a ballot measure, and it would be a ballot measure in Manatee as well. The fairness ordinance that the metro area in Louisville now has on its books to protect sexual orientation and gender identity and such from employment and housing discrimination, that may not have passed if it weren't for the Metro Council being in place, because the people from the former city of Louisville, that entity would not have passed that measure. So it took a community-wide effort to get that on the books. And in addition to fairness, we would have more coordinated planning for a comprehensive plan, one comprehensive plan for the whole county. And Manatee County is a huge area, and it would facilitate solving traffic problems. It would facilitate paying for affordable housing. We might even be able to attract another hospital. Louisville has more hospitals than Manatee County does, and it's a smaller county. So it just makes sense to consider this idea.
Right. And it's important, too, because there's a long-standing history that attainable and affordable housing and things like that are more easily obtained, and energy efficiency and things like this, too. For example, if Manatee was serious about doing attainable housing and renewable energy and so forth, working through the county, because these 6 incorporated areas that we have only include a small portion of Manatee's total population. Manatee's population is right at 400,000 or somewhere in that vicinity, assuming we can get an accurate census. But that's a big question mark in the back of a lot of people's minds too. But anyway, the population. Because I know the city of Bradenton, I think, is only like, what is it, 55 or 60,000, something like that. Or maybe it's a little more. But it's certainly not a lot. But okay, we're going to have to pick up on this a little bit later. We've only got a couple of minutes before we run out of time here, and because we have a lot more to cover, and we're going to have you back again next week for another episode here to go through more of your platform. So in wrapping up here in about a minute and a half we've got here, can you tell us, let's summarize again your reason for running, and then we will pick up again next week when we have you back again.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. This is a time in our country of historic firsts. We have the first person of color, woman, to be on the presidential ticket, and there's real hope for her to bring that diversity and that change. So we could still pull this off. It could be a historic first for a write-in candidate to prevail in a county election. I'm working hard to make that happen. I just need you to write in Chris Gilbert for Manatee County when you get your ballot in District 5. And I really appreciate your help.
Thank you, Chris. And this has been a great opportunity to talk with you again and get more details on your plans for your run and everything. And thank you for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed today's discussion. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society by Trio, and I've been your host, Steve Ryan. Thank you again, Chris. Look forward to having you back next week.
You got it.